So with my recent video talking about my new beauty budget low buy thing, I've been kind of alluding to recently about my wish list, what's on it, because I do have a system of having a wish list, and I recently made a rule where I can't buy anything that isn't on my wish list for at least 3 months. So I thought I would share what's on it. I don't know when I'll next update my wish list. Depends on how much it changes. Maybe I'll just update the wish list at the end of the year, but I just wanted to get straight into what items are really catching my eye right now. But to start off my wish list, I want to get into the lip products. Now, I'm not sure how long ago e.l.f. released their Hydrating Core Lip Shine, like tinted lip balms. But as soon as they came out, they caught my eye because I like tinted lip balms because my lips are always dry. Just so you know, I'll probably be mentioning for each product which of them are wish lists for things in the near future or like further down the line I would want to buy. And for instance, these lip balms are probably ones I would buy like a year or longer from now because they're more like replacement wish list items, because I currently already have 3 tinted lip balms that kind of fill the 3 categories I want. I realize I don't love them as much as like I would like to, so that's why I want to replace them with something different. But I have like a cool tone lip balm, a warm tone one, and one that's a bit of a neutral, so that's similar to here. The 3 e.l.f. ones on my wish list are Delightful, which is a cooler toned tinted lip balm. And then the neutral one that I think caught my eye the most is Happy. It's honestly just the most boring one in terms of colors, but also it just seems like it would be a really nice my lips but better kind of thing. And the last one I believe is called Cheery, but Ulta wrote it as Cherry, but I'm pretty sure it is Cheery. And it is just this vibrant kind of peachy corally shade, which seems really nice, especially in the summer. So I feel like if I had these 3, they'd be all the tinted lip balms I want. But again, I already have 3, but they're definitely on my radar for what I would purchase in the future. Now moving on to lipsticks, I only have 2 on my wish list. I feel like that's pretty good because at one point I had like 6. I don't remember the last time I filmed one of these wish lists, but a lot has changed since then. I added a lot of things, I took out a lot of things, it completely transformed, and that's why I want things to be on my wish list long term, for me to buy them or ask for them as a gift, because I change my mind a lot. I find things that are better and more suited to what I'm looking for, and that is why I keep this wish list so I can compare things, kind of eliminate ones. Anyways, rainbow aside, this next one is a new Flower Beauty release, and it is one of the, I honestly don't remember what it's called, but in the shade Buttercup, it looks like this really beautiful warm nude. And the last lip product on my wish list is one that has been around for a pretty good amount of time. It is the CoverGirl Exhibitionist lipstick in the shade Sultry Sienna. This lipstick just looks like a really nice everyday kind of nude on me, but it isn't nude in a sense of its browniness, and it just seems like a really nice neutral where it's not super cool or warm and it's not too light, hopefully, on me, because I really want like nudes on me, but there are a lot of shades that are just too brown or too light or both of those things, and it just does not look good on me. So it's really hard to find something that is the right depth without being so dark that it's no longer like a natural shade on me, if that makes sense. So it seems like a really pretty color from a lot of the videos and swatches that I've looked up. Basically for all of these, if it's on my wish list, I've probably looked up as many swatches and videos on it that I possibly can. It's ridiculous how much time I spend looking up to make sure I actually like the color of the product, depending on the lighting of the video and the skin tone of the person, and I really just don't want to get it wrong like I have in the past. Anyways, those are the only lip products on my wish list. I'm really proud that I got it down to 5 and that 3 of them are like a future kind of wish list thing. But let's move on to face and cheek products. Now, the first cheek product on my wish list is actually a base product that I'm thinking of using as a cheek product. The e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation has a really decent shade range, and it is also very inexpensive. But this liquid foundation in the shade Tan They claim that it has cool pink undertones. It honestly doesn't look like it's that cool tone, but it looks like it might be neutral toned. And so I thought it'd be fun to experiment with like a liquid bronzer, especially because I have drier skin. I might appreciate not powder things. So I am keeping my eye on this e.l.f. foundation. I'm thinking it could work well as a bronzer, and in that same vein, their foundation in the shade Pearl looks like it'd be a really good shade match for me. And I have talked extensively about how I don't buy foundations, they're just not for me. But what I've realized is that when I only use concealers to spot conceal, I use up a lot of concealers, and it's just not as cost effective or as environmentally friendly to buy a bunch of little tubes when I could just buy less, bigger tubes, you know? So I realized I could use foundation as a concealer and basically spot foundation, which is something that I've seen other people do, and some people just use foundation as concealer. I'm pretty sure this is a medium coverage satin foundation, so I think it would work well. And the thing is, I don't think I'll worry about it being too drying on my under eyes, because if you don't already know, I currently am working on the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and in the past I've expressed how I couldn't find my right shade because the lightest one's too pale and cool toned, and then the neutral one is just really peachy and a bit dark for me. But I discovered that that works really well as an under eye corrector, so I just use it right here. I really like it because it's a bit too hydrating for my entire face, I'm not gonna lie, but it works really well in the under eye. So I think if I use that as an under eye corrector, and then I don't care that I need as much coverage for the rest of my face, so I think using a spot foundation technique could actually be really beneficial. So I'm open to experimenting, especially because it's a $6 foundation. I am aware that it is less than a fluid ounce, but either way, $6 foundation, the amount that's in that foundation is about twice the amount that's in most concealers, and most concealers aren't $3. So I think it is a better price than buying a bunch of concealers, so I'll see. Once I run out of the concealers I have, I probably will go to that next and see how it works out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I think it's worth trying. If you have tried the e.l.f. foundation, let me know what it was like for you, what the finish was. Did you find it drying? Did you find it too moisturizing? What's your skin type? Any of that would be super helpful. Now moving on to cheek products that are actually sold as cheek products. I only have one highlighter currently. It is the Milani Strobe Light, and this is in the shade Afterglow, which is marketed as like their lightest shade. It's the first one, and this is a pinky peachy shade. It's not super pink or peach, but it is on the cooler, more pinky leaning side, and I do really like this, especially because the formula, you can make it less intense. It's just really smooth and glowy, and it doesn't look texturous on the cheeks. So I really enjoy this formula because you can make it really intense or kind of put less and it doesn't look like sparkles. So there are two other shades in this line that are on my radar. The first one is, I think it's called Moon Glow. It is a champagne shade, and it looks really beautiful, like a neutral undertone. So I'd have a cool pinky undertone, a neutral, and then Summer Glow is like a yellow champagne, and I think all of them will be light enough for me. Similar to how I treat tinted lip balms, I want a cool tone one, a neutral one, and a warm tone one. So I feel like if I have these three, then I'll be set for highlighters. Now before I get into blushes, there is one product that is marketed as a blush, but I think would work really well as contour on me. I don't know how I feel about contour, but I've been doing it because I'm panning eyeshadows and using them as contour, so I feel like I like it, but I'm also not sure. But by the time I finish my Franken eyeshadow contour product, hopefully I'll be able to decide whether or not I want to buy an actual contour product. And this is something, the shade has been around for years and years and years, but they keep on reformulating it in different packages and different lines, and that is the NYX Blush and Taupe. This one specifically is their Sweet Cheeks matte formula. I know there's been at least 2 previous iterations of it, and the colors, from what I heard, might be slightly different, but aren't super different. So I feel like it'd be a really nice taupey, cool tone shade that I could use as a contour on my fair skin. Moving on to the actual blushes, the e.l.f. Primer Infused Matte Blush in the shade Always Cheeky. This was like on and off my wish list in the past and has been on my unofficial one where I like didn't actually take a picture of it, but it does look like a really pretty pale pinky peach that just I don't have. I have a peachy shade, but it just looks so pale that it would be so easy to apply without going overboard. I don't know, I just really like those pale blushes that would actually look like ash on most people because I feel like they'd be so easy to use and natural looking on me. So really vibing with that. Now this next product is one of those where I'm like future purchase. And I have talked in the past many times about my love for the Physicians Formula Butter Blush that I got long time ago in the shade Plum Rose, and I really like the formula, and the color I found so unique because it's not warm and it's not cool, but at the same time it's both. It's one of those ones that looks grayish in the pan, but on the cheeks it brings warmth, but it's also kind of plummy purple. It's just a really unique shade, and I've been really trying to find a dupe for it because it's just a really different looking shade that I like for the fall, especially in the winter because it's like a bit muted, it's not super bright. But I think I found something that's pretty darn close, and it is an Ofra single, because I know they have like a giant blush palette, and it's one of those in there, but you can buy the single separately for $12. I feel like that's pretty decent. It's only a 4-gram pan, but I don't plan on going through it that quickly because it's a blush. And it is in the shade Rose. Now this last blush on my wish list, I see it has both a blush and a blush topper, so it seems versatile to me, and it is the Milani Baked Blush in the shade Rosa Romantica. I've actually owned a baked blush in the past. I bought Luminoso in the past because obviously I bought Luminoso. It just wasn't a good color on me. I remember one summer I wore it so much. I like brought it with me on all the vacations, like that was my summer shade, and then I realized after that I just stopped using it. Like it wasn't one that I reached for a lot, and I didn't even own that many blushes. I probably had like 3 or 4 and I still never reached for it. And I realized it just was too orangey on me. It just didn't look as good as I wanted it to. So I ended up giving that to my mom. She completely panned it, like no cap, completely used it up. And I feel like when I gave it to her, the like rounded pan was slightly flattened, but like not that much. And all of a sudden the next time I saw it, I was like, you hit pan? What the heck? Moms and their panning, man. Mom pans are something else. And she already bought another blush to replace it. Anyways, I was talking about a blush that I wanted. So the shade Rosa Romantica is again one of those really pale blush shades, but since I know it's glowy, I was like, that'd be so good for being a blush topper or just something I could go traveling with, and it would be like a blush and a highlight, you know, in one. And just in one compact, because I have shades like that, but it's in a blush palette, and I don't think I'd want to travel with an entire blush palette. That seems excessive. Also, I'm talking about traveling as if I've literally traveled in the past year, and I haven't. The most traveling I did was like driving a few hours to go to my brother's tiny wedding, so I didn't go on a plane. Who knows if I'll go on a plane this year? No idea. From swatches and pictures I've seen, the shade Rosa Romantica is like this rosy champagne shade that's really unique and I haven't seen in a lot of blushes. It just looks like this nice neutral, but almost it's like peachy and warm, but in a muted brownish way, but not being brown. I don't know, it just looks really unique and cool, and I want it, and that's pretty much it. Moving on to eye products, there are 2 things on my wish list. I'm not sure if I brought this up in the past, but I've been starting to feel like I want to explore eyeliners. I've owned very few eyeliners in the past. I owned a liquid liner back when I was like freshman in high school, Didn't really know how to do makeup, so let me tell you, my wings were not matching, and I did not use it that often. I think it was like the Jordana one. Rest in peace, Jordana. If you don't know, they closed down, and I believe they shut down like the last day of 2020. The only other eyeliner I have had in the past is a Wet n Wild white eyeliner, like one of those really long pencils. You know how they have those giant pencils that are $1? Because I heard somewhere that like white would make your eyes look bigger, but then I realized it just makes you look weird unless if you have like a really dramatic look. And so I was like, oh, I probably needed a nude eyeliner, not a white one. And so now there's a nude one on my wish list because I want it to put at my lower waterline to like open up my eyes. I don't know, it just seemed like a really nice look. The Pixie eyeliners, I've heard a lot of good reviews on those. And the other one on my wish list is the black one because I'd want the black one for my upper waterline to like make my lashes look fuller. So those ones are on my radar. The shade Matte Nude and Black Noir. Let me know if you tried those or if you've tried another drugstore pencil, because there were some that were also like, ooh, maybe, especially for black because every brand has black. Not every brand had that nude shade. But there's a lot of mixed reviews on a lot of other pencil eyeliners, so I stuck with the Pixie ones that had a lot of good reviews and really consistent feedback. Yeah, let me know if you think I would like eyeliner, or if you think black in the upper waterline doesn't actually do that much or something. I don't know. Before we get into the monster of a category of eyeshadows, I've warned you. I want to go through some of the brushes on my wish list. Now, the first one is something that I don't think I've seen a ton of brushes this shape. And for a while, I was looking for a very specific shape that I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted. I knew that I wanted something that was smaller than the face brushes I already had, but also bigger than like the highlighting brush, for instance. So I wanted something in between there, but I also wanted it to be round and not flat. I wanted it for a little bit more focused bronzer or blush, especially blush. I found that a lot of times my blush, I just didn't want as big of an application, but I just have a bunch of big brushes. So this Flower Beauty Blush Precision Brush looks like exactly what I wanted. And it also looks, their brushes are really pretty. I have one of them. They're just really well made. It's just a shape that I don't have that I think would give me a lot more versatility in how I can apply face and cheek products. The next two are just e.l.f. eyeshadow brushes. This first one has been on my wish list for quite some time. I don't know why I haven't bought it yet. I just haven't. It is their detail crease brush. It just seems like something that would be nice for a bit more detail in eyeshadow application, especially for the crease, because I don't have the most giant eyeballs, eye sockets. I don't have the biggest real estate on my eyes. And the second one is the flat eyeliner brush, which would be really nice just to do detail, like linery kind of work around my upper lash line, bottom lash line, just that kind of thing. Now it's time to get to all of the eyeshadows that I put on my wish list. Every time I think I'm like, I'm getting near to what I want for eyeshadows, all of a sudden my wish list grows. The difference between the eyeshadows on this wish list compared to previous ones is that they're all single eyeshadows. And I feel like for a long time, I've loved the fantasy of single eyeshadows, but I was just like, that's really expensive. Buying each individual one costs way more than buying a palette. But most of these I would ask for as like a Christmas gift, so I would not buy them personally, except for maybe like 2. So let me get into the first 2 that are from a different brand than the rest. But I've just come to the point where I have a lot of the shades I want, but now there are just specific shades that I'm looking for, and I don't want to waste my time buying a palette because it has one shade in it that I'm like, yes, that's the one I want. Let's just start doing singles because that's really what you're looking for at this point. The first 2 are really boring, and it might be like, you really want those, but I stand by that. I want these. They're both from ColourPop. The shade, Let Me Explain, it just looks like a really nice neutral champagne, and I actually don't have one quite like it. I have some pinky champagnes, some like white champagnes, but this one looks like a solid beige champagne that's pale but also isn't super warm or cool. And I I dig it, okay? It just seems like something that would be really helpful to have. And the shade Hear Me Out, I don't know why. I do know why. I have 2 similar shades like this in my collection, and for some reason I'm afraid that I'm gonna use them up. So I want a 3rd one, but for my singles, I don't feel like defending this decision any longer. I know it's dumb, but here I am, still making this decision. I don't actually use these to set my base. I use them to carve out my brows, as some people do, because my eyeshadow primer doesn't have much pigment to it. So I use this basically to put right under my brows and just kind of do a light kind of brightening and maybe covering some like just discoloration right there. Let's get into the 17 single eyeshadows from Sydney Grace. I just wandered onto Sydney Grace's website one day and was like, I want all of them. So I actually went through a lot and I looked up a ton of swatching videos and pictures, and I narrowed it down to just these 17. One of them I'm not sure about, but you might be thinking a lot of these are neutrals, but what has occurred to me is that my collection actually doesn't have as many neutrals as I thought it did. I have like one purely neutral palette and it leans warm, and I realized I wanted cooler neutrals, and you might be thinking, aren't you painting all those neutrals? Yes, but I'm painting them. I want to finish them. They're old. So once they're gone, I have nothing like a lot of them. So that's why this wish list exists. And the first one on the list is the shade Velvet. It's just this metallic white. It just looks gorgeous, and it seems like it could be used in a lot of different ways for a lot of different looks. The shade Peace is this beautiful taupey shade. Again, leaning a bit cooler toned. I just wanted some cool tone neutrals to have as staples in my collection, and I really don't have that many. In a similar vein, we have Cool Brown. These are all basically the same explanation. It's a cool tone. Sir, why is your car so loud? Tiara. Now, in almost every video I've seen of Sydney Grace shadows, Tiara is people's favorites because it looks stunning. It looks liquid. It's so insane. But yeah, that one's on here obviously. Somber looks like this really beautiful kind of deep, grungy, silvery grayish brown. Morning Star is a bit warmer tone, but I realize I don't have that many champagnes that are in various undertones, so this one's a bit of like a yellowy champagne without being straight up yellow. Pismo, cool neutral. Puppy, neutral neutral. I think those two actually might be more neutral neutrals than cool neutrals, but again, I'm wanting to just have some staples. Dive is where we start getting into the colorful shades. Oh my gosh, Dive looks so cool. It's like this muted, warmish blue, but it has like this gold shift. It's just so unique. I can imagine a neutral eye with this as like a liner. Yes. Now, these next few, I just want to pad out my green collection. Seafoam looks like a really nice transition, like starting a green look because I'm pale. Levi or Levi, I'm not sure which one it is, but beautiful. Evergreen, yes. Starfish, oh my gosh, deep greens, I need it. Sea Breeze, another really pale pastel green that I've been looking for forever. Pear Tree, that one speaks to me. And this next one isn't a green, but Fierce. Something, if you have followed my previous eyeshadow panning project, then you know I was panning this kind of blurple, indigo kind of Franken, and I got sick of it after a while, not gonna lie. I was like, I'm still using this? But it made me appreciate using like a blurply shade as an eyeliner with a neutral look. And I've found myself missing it. So now this guy's on here. For a while there, I got a bit obsessed with red, and then I got the Profusions Rubies palette. But I realized none of the shades in there are metallic red. And so I have here Queen of Hearts, this gorgeous metallic bright red, like almost primary. But I'm starting to wonder if wearing red eyeshadow is one of my fantasy self things for makeup. I don't think I'll make a fantasy self makeup video because I don't think there's enough for me to talk about, but reds is something where I'm like, I don't know if I'm actually like a vibrant red eyeshadow wearer, or if I just want to be. So this is on here, but also like, it's kind of on probation. Like, I want it, but also, will I wear it? I don't know. And the last thing on here, it's unofficially on my wish list. Because of all these singles, I want a magnetic palette. And a person called Another Soul on Etsy makes these gorgeous handmade magnetic palettes with beautiful designs on the covers. I'm specifically looking at one of the Luxe magnetic palettes because it is the largest double-sided one, and if you have seen the way I've organized my makeup, double-sidedness would help a lot because it doesn't matter how thick things are, but like how big they are laid flat. So this one, it would definitely fit all those singles on one side with some room to spare, but there is a part of me that wants to depot every single eyeshadow palette I have and just make my collection all singles. Now, I recently tested using like a magnet just to see if all of the pans had a magnetic pull to them, and I realized all of the eyeshadows in my collection are in magnetic pans with the exception of the Profusion palettes and the Wet n Wild palettes, and I expected that because they're the cheapest ones. So I'd have to get like magnets for the Profusion ones, and the Wet n Wild ones I probably wouldn't depot. Will I do this anytime soon? Probably not. Maybe in like 2 years. I probably would start with like one at a time, but the thing is a lot of them are in plastic packaging, and I don't know if I'll end up making a war zone in trying to depot things, so it'll be a process. And a part of me also likes the packaging on a few of them. Most of them I'm not that attached to the packaging because they just have like black packaging that's a clear top or something. But the few that do have like cool, unique packaging, I'm like, do I wanna depot it? Even things like the ColourPop ones where it's easy because they're literally magnetized into the palette, I'm like, but I kind of want to keep the palette. So yeah, I don't know, but if I end up doing that in the future, I have my radar on this person who makes beautiful handmade magnetic palettes. But if I do get all those singles, I will need to put them into something because the magnetic palettes I have are quite small and it wouldn't fit 20 eyeshadows worth basically. I haven't done this in the past, but I thought it would be an interesting exercise, and I basically add up the price of everything on my wish list to see how much it would cost if I bought everything. Now, the total cost of everything together, there are 37 items, including every single eyeshadow pan, and that would be $248.46. Definitely not in my budget that I set for myself this year, but a lot of them I'm thinking of asking as birthday or Christmas gifts, so hopefully that makes it better. I did calculate the cost without the single eyeshadow pan, and that'd be $142.46, still out of my budget. 18 items. Interesting to think about. 18 items isn't that bad for a wish list. I've had some wish lists that were like nearing 30. So, and a lot of the things on the wish list, for instance, that blush is something to replace one I have. The bronzer, the foundation, the contour, all of those are things that I want to replace once I run out of something. So I feel like it's pretty decent, and things like the brushes, they'd be long-term things that I would use for many years to come. The eyeliners, I don't have any eyeliners, so I kind of just want to like add it. So it's not a ton of adding to categories that already have a lot. Let me know if you also do something similar with the wish list, and what are some things on your wish list that you're really wanting. I would love to hear and talk about it with you. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have an amazing day. Bye!